Okay, guys, let's get start. So last week, like in the last session, right, the SQL session, we discussed about a few important understanding and all, right. I will quickly recap the things, then we'll continue. So you all already know this is like for mainly whoever is coming from the non-SQL background people, right? Like the basic of SQL and all we are going to see. Okay, so last in the last class, like we discussed a few things, few concept. What is database? Like what are the category of the SQL queries and all we discussed, right? So quickly recap the things. Then like we'll go for each category. We'll implement some queries and all. Okay. So 1 minute, guys. Let me share my screen. Okay. So like I mentioned, right? Like SQL is very, very important, right? Important learning for our, if you are become a data engineer, right? So SQL playing a key role, which is very, very important. Okay. So for that reason only, like, we are focusing more on the SQL and all. And like we have a couple of peoples in our group, right? Like who is coming from non-database background and all. For them only, we are structuring this, the off session SQL learning and all, right? So in this session, mainly we are going to focus on the basics. Okay, basics to some advanced SQL and all we are going to see. Okay, but the SQL learning, like I mentioned, right, which is not only here we are going to learn, like going forward, right? Once we are entering into the PySpark or even with some cloud system and all, there also we are going to implement a lot of things with the SQL only. Okay, so some kind of advanced like SQL queries and all we are going to build, we are going to write along with our regular learning also. Okay, this is purely for basics. Okay, we are going to cover the basics and all, but going forward, right? Like here also we are going to see some kind of advanced concept and all, but few advanced concept we are going to learn along with our regular session itself. Okay, so like that, like we are going to learn our SQL learning. So last week, right? I mean last week meaning in our last class, what and all we discussed, right? We all know SQL meaning. What is SQL, guys? What is the expansion of SQL?
Structured query language.
Yeah, which is the structure query language. Structure query language, right? Yes, for structure query language and all we discussed. And like a few facts about SQL. Earlier in 1970s, right, in IBM researchers, right, Donald Chamber and Raymond Boyce, right, they created the SQL initially. Okay, so they initially they named as a SQL. Okay, then like after years and year over, right, like it is converted into SQL and all, right? So structure query language, that is a definition SQL if you consider. And like in the SQL, queries are like we can able to categorize the queries mainly. The first with DDL. Okay, so we also like I think last time we discussed a few DDL queries also. We are going to continue. DDL meaning what, guys?
Data definition language.
So which is definition, right? Data definition language, right? So data definition language. So mainly we are going to play with that structure of the data, right? So when it comes to the DDL, we are going to create the table, create the database, create a view, right? Like maybe you can say here, create. Okay, create a table databases view, right? Or removing the table, removing the database, altering the table, right? Adding a new column, changing the column name, changing the data type, something and all, right? Everything we are playing with the structure, definition, table definition, database definition, right? And like we have something called a truncate, we are going to see later. Okay, so it is not, we are not going to play with the data. So we are going to play in the DDL queries. We are going to play with the data definition. Definition meaning like the structure, right? Or like you can say a metadata, something, right? Catalog or metadata, you can say. So creating a table, first creating a database, creating a table, viewing the table information, database informations, right? Or altering, right? Changing in the table definition, maybe adding a column, renaming a column name and all we will do. Then like we can remove the table, remove the database, right? Like that, like, we are playing with the tables, databases in the definition, right? We can say, we can consider as a DDL queries, data definition language. That is what we discussed, right? Then like a second will be what we have, DML. What is DML, guys?
Data manipulation language.
Manipulation, right? So you are here, we are going to play with the data. So with the help of DDL, we will create the tables, we'll provide the structure. And then like with the help of DMLs, right? We are going to play with the data. So simple, insert, update, delete. Okay, select is not DML. Okay, so here I mentioned select, right? You can ignore select. Okay, this is DQL, right? Leave it, leave the select. Insert, update, delete. Insert meaning adding a new record, right? Update, you are changing in the data. Okay, and like a delete, you are removing the record, right? Insert, update, delete. All three operation you can consider as a DML, data manipulation language. You are playing with the data. So you are creating a table here, right? How the structure will go, right? Maybe you are creating a folder in your File Explorer or Windows Explorer, right? You are creating a one folder, that is the database. Inside the folder, okay, you are creating a one Excel file. In the Excel file, you are providing a sheet name and like the column information and all if you are providing. Okay, so the database is like a container you can consider, which is your folder. Inside the folder, you are creating one Excel file with only one sheet you can consider. That sheet has a name you are providing, sheet name, then like a serial number, SID, name, age, something and all. You are giving some column names and all in the first line, right? Which is a header you are providing. Okay, then like that is a template you created. That is a table you can say, right? Whatever so far we did is like a DDL. Okay, then the DML operation, you are adding an entry, right? Like a serial number 1, student name, Raja, something, age, date of birth and all if you are filling up, right? You are filling with the data, you are inserting an entry, right? All are insert operation, they are DML. Okay, in the added record, you are changing something, the name, like, you are correcting something, you are updating, okay, which is DML. Maybe particular record, one record you are removing, one student information if you are removing, then it is a delete operation, which is the DML. Okay, then I'm adding a new column, right? SID, name, age, date of birth, right? Then department I'm adding, newly one column called department I'm adding, one more column I'm adding in the table structure, in the Excel structure if you are adding, right? Then it is a DDL. The column what you are adding is the DDL, right? Like that, like DDL, with the help of DDL, you are providing a structure, you are playing with the structure, right? In the DML, you are playing with the data, right? Manipulation, okay? Update, insert, update, delete, right? They are the DML what we have. Then we discussed about DQL, data query language, right? DQL meaning data query language, which is more of select. What is select, guys? Select meaning what?
To select the data and fill from the
basically you are viewing the data, right?
table. Yeah.
You are viewing the data, what in however you want, like you are viewing, right? Select is not like a simple just to select, right? Select everything, limited information with some kind of transformations, right? Single table, multiple table, right? Multiple things we are going to do with the select. And the main thing what we are going to do with the select only, our main focus is more on select side only, right? DDL, DML and all fine. As like as a big data engineer, right? If you are playing a role of like maybe a OLTP engineer or normal database engineer and all, like insert, update, delete and all heavily will do. As a big data engineer, right? We are going to do more on the analysis side. When it comes to the analysis side, the manipulation and all we are going to, where we have a limited support only, right? Like since like a data warehouse, we are building a warehouse with a huge volume of data, and mainly why we are doing all those things for analysis only, right? So the analysis meaning you are going to do this select only, right? So we are analyzing meaning what? You are going to select the data and you are going to do something, right? So we are going to focus more on the select area only, TQL only. Okay. So DDL and all, just to structure once you are going to do, right? Changes you are going to like in the structure changes, you are not going to do daily, right? Rarely you are going to touch the table structure and all, right? And update point of view, when it comes to the warehouse, data lake, or lake house, big lake, whatever we have, the modern data warehouses and all, right? Like a limited support to update, right? We are not going to do the frequent updates, and we are not going to add a single record. All we are going to add a bulk record, right? And like a delete update, we will not do usually, right? I mean, some data warehouses are supporting, right? Some, modern data warehouses, we have a support, limited support and all, fine. But in general, like, when it comes to the warehouse, big data, right? Like heavily, we are going to do the analysis side, select side, DQL side. Okay. So DDL, DML, DQL, three categories so far we discussed. And like a TCL, right? It is not DCL, TCL. What is TCL, guys?
Transactional control language.
Right? Transaction control language, right? The transaction meaning like each something you are adding, inserting, you are updating, you are deleting, right? You want to control, right? Transaction meaning maybe you are adding a new row, you are modifying something, you are deleting something. That is a transaction. What you are doing, you are controlling the transaction, right? With the help of something called the commit, rollback, and save point. Three options we have. The same story for TCL also, right? When it comes to the data warehouses and all, right? Big data warehouses and all, we have limited support to transaction. They are not a transaction system, right? So transaction control language, we are not going to use heavily, right? When you are working with Oracle, you are working with some OLTP system like MySQL and all, right? The rollback, commit and all will heavily use. And like insert, update, delete will heavily use, right? As a big data engineer, right? A data warehouse engineer, big data engineer and all, right? The transaction you have limited transaction only. Okay, so rollback, commit, but fine, we are going to see commit, rollback, save point and all comes under the transaction. You are controlling the transaction, whether you want to like maybe for example, you have a notepad. In the notepad, you are adding some content and all, right? You are creating a file. Inside the file, you are adding a content, right? Until otherwise you save, right? Like the same file someone is referring from the other end. Okay, you added some content, but you are not putting the control S. You are not pressing the control S, right? The changes is visible to you. Okay, temporarily the changes are visible to you, but whoever is referring the file from the other side, right? They will not see the changes, right? So if you commit control S, if you put control S, you are saving, and whoever is referring the file from the folder, whoever is opening the file, right? They can able to change that. They can able to view the changes, right? When you do the control S only, right? Control S is the commit. If you put control is set, then it is a rollback, right? Like that, the commit, rollback, save point and all we are going to see later. Transaction control language. Okay, DCL, data control language, right? Data control language. So what is DCL, guys? Data control language. Grant, revoke and all, more of admin side, more of access side, whether you are going to allow the user to access the table, right? Some access and all if you are going to provide, right? Like that, like, you can consider like a DCL and all, right? These are all some category what we discussed last week, guys. Okay, so simply you can say here priority wise how we are going to learn, already I explained, but you can see here our highest priority, which is select query. Okay, data query language. Select is not just to select, right? We have a lot of things we are going to do with the DQL. Select, priority one. You want to do the select meaning you need a data, you need a table, you need a database, everything, right? So in our learning, we are going to first start with the DDL, right? Even though it is a priority 2 item, we need a data to play. We need a data to understand the DQL and all, right? So we are going to start from here. Okay, we are going to start from here, but priority wise, this is next priority. Priority 1 is like, DQL. We need to more focus on the DQL side, right? Which is purely select. Okay, so data definition language, what we have, which is create databases, create table and all, right? Create table, create databases, drop table, databases, alter table, right? And mainly one more thing, we have something called truncate. They are under the DDL category, which is priority 2. We are going to start from here only. DML, manipulation language, already we discussed. Insert, update, delete, right? Insert, update, delete are the DML operation, which is also priority 2. DCL and TCL, transaction control, and the DCL, grant revoke transaction control, which is more of commit rollback and all, priority 3, right? Later we are going to discuss. This is what we are going to do, guys. Okay, any question here? Okay, last week we set up our environment and all, right? Maybe let's quickly start our database and we'll play with the data and all, right? And like the components of database, we discussed already. Database, first you have to create the database, right? A database is nothing but a container for all related objects, right? A database is the container which is holding all the objects, maybe table, views, okay, indexes, later stored procedures, functions, like that you can extend, right? A database is the container for related objects. All related objects we are going to put. Okay, so inside the database only we are going to create the tables. In general, we have one more name called for database is schema, right? In some databases, first you will create the schema. Inside the schema, you will create the databases and all, right? That is depend on the the flavor of database what you are working. But in general, schema or database you can able to name, you can able to interchangeably. Okay, which meaning you can define database is a schema or schema is the database. Even last week I showed in the MySQL, I'm creating the schema, create schema name I'm giving, but internally it is creating a database only, right? Like, I mean, based on the database flavor, some databases, you will create that schema. Inside the schema, you can create the database and you will work, right? Schema meaning one more level container you have. Inside the schema, you will group it. Maybe, let's say like, this particular domain you are creating on schema. Inside the schema, you have multiple databases and all. Like that they will follow. But in general, schema database, both are same. Okay, so you can able to interchangeably. In MySQL, last week we discussed, right? We created the schema. That schema is nothing but a database only, it is internally creating. Okay, so the same name like a schema, database, whatever it is, right? Like in other the modern databases, data warehouses and all, right? Instead of database, they are calling data set. Okay, if you go to the Google BigQuery, okay, they don't have a database concept. They are having something called a data set. Data set is nothing but database again. Okay, you will create the data set. Inside the data set, you will have your tables, views, functions, stored procedure and all. Okay, they call us a data set. Data set is nothing but a database. Or we have something called a catalog. Okay, so database, schema, catalog, or data set, all are same meaning case. Container for all your related objects. Okay, so that is our first components in the database. First, you have to create your databases. Then like inside the database, which is a container, right? You are going to create a table. Table is your container for your data, the related data, right? Let's say like you are creating a database called IC learning, meaning IC learning, or like a school database you are creating school. Inside the school, you are going to create a table called student. The student table is going to have all student information. And you are going to create a table called department, which is going to have a department information. You are going to create a table called the employee. All the employee information, you are going to keep it in the employee table, right? A table is like a next level container, which is for container for your data, right? Table is a container for data in the form of how the data will be organized in the table, rows and column, right? 2 dimension, rows and column format. Okay, and like we are following the proper structure. When it comes to the database, it's more of structured data, right? The proper structure will follow. Structure meaning first column, let's say student, first column SID, second column SName, third column like department, fourth column date of birth, meaning the same structure will follow everywhere, right? Like that, like, we'll provide the structure and we'll put our data. That is a table. And like a columns inside the table, the data is organized in the form of rows and column, right? Each like the column, right? Rows and columns, what we have, right? If you take the Excel, right? Like you have vertical and horizontal things we have, right? Like the column, if you take a single record, one line, right? In one line, if you are taking, right, that one line you can consider as a record. Okay, the horizontally, whatever you have, right, which is one record, you can say. So the vertical information, what you have, you can say like columns. Okay, so a record or row meaning collection of column values identified horizontally with some identifier, right? Like column names. You have a column names. Every record have many one to multiple columns, right? How you will identify with the column names. Okay, 1 minute, guys. Give me. Okay, sorry. So, like if you consider a row meaning each record, you can consider record in or row, anything you can able to name, right? A single line in a normal text file, if you take, right, single line is the record or row, right? This one, right? This one is the considered as a record, okay, or row. Each row identified with the column name C1, C2, C3 and all, right? So C1 is the column here. C2 is the name, which is the second column. C3 is the name, which is the third column. Like that, like, every column have a name and data type, right? Maybe other attributes and all, right? Minimum column name and data type will follow. When you are creating a table, minimum information, the field or column, when you say column name, you have to give and data type you have to give. Okay, the group of column will form a record or row. Okay, so the vertical information what you have, which is the column, right? The horizontal information what you have, which is like your row, you can consider, right? Like that, like, these are all some components what we have with the database. Like, like similar to tables, we have views. What is view, guys? Views meaning what? We discussed last week, right? What is view?
It's a mirror of a table.
Yeah. Mirror of a table. Fine. Like this is one question usually people will ask, whether views contains data or not.
Views don't contain the data. It will refer
Yeah.
the table only.
Exactly, right? We don't have a data. Views meaning it is like a
virtual table.
Yeah, virtual table, right? When you say virtual table, no physical, what Nagalakshmi is speaking, right? It is not a physical, it's a virtual table. It does not contain any data. It is referring the table, right? Simply, you can say views are nothing but a stored query, right? The query, whatever internally you are using, right? It is storing the query only, not the data. Data will be there in the table only. We have something called materialized view that we are going to discuss later, right? Materialized meaning the name itself saying it is going to bring some data and all. Fine, leave the materialized view and all. We will discuss later. In general, views meaning just a stored query. Why we need to go for views, guys? Why we
To
need a view?
restrict the permissions.
Due to
Exactly,
some
right?
access.
Security, right? Simply you can say security, right? So for some security reason, if I'm allowing to the table, you can able to view everything, right? I want to put some mask on top of it, or I want to limit some information, right? Then like I will create a view on top of that. I will provide the access to the view. Security point of view, we heavily will use views. Okay, so like that, like, the views also a components of database. So database tables, views, right? The table which has the data in the form of rows and column format, right? When you say table, minimum one column is required. When you say column or field, which has the name and the data type you must provide two information, data type and column name you have to provide, identifier, column name or identifier, and data type you have to give. Okay, apart from that, like you have a constraints, right? Whether it is nullable or not, whether it's a primary key, so many things we have, even constraints also, we don't need to focus more. Okay, since like, the modern data warehouses, we will not follow constraints. Okay, but we are going to see here, right? Later we are going to see. Data type also, later we'll discuss. For now, leave the data type. Already in Python, something about data type and all we discussed, right? With this, that info is fine for now, but we will discuss data type also. Okay, so apart from table views we have, which is like a stored query we have under the database, and like the stored procedure functions we call as a routines. Okay, what is procedure function and all we will discuss, and then indexes. Okay, indexes mainly for performance and all we are going for indexes. Okay, that index concept also not there in the warehouses. Okay, but fine, that is why we strike out here, but we will discuss later, guys. Okay, so these are all the components what we have in general with the database. Okay, so we will start with our DDL first. Okay, so when it comes to the DDL, right? First, I will start my database. Okay, already you all know, right? We installed our MySQL already in our system and all. Right, I'm going to the services. First, I have to start the MySQL service. If it is not running, I'm going to the MySQL 80, right? So I'm going to start the service. Currently, it is not running. I'm starting my service. Go to the services.msc, right? Finding the to find the MySQL 8 service. Then like right click and I'm starting. Currently, it is running. Okay, it is running currently. So that is the first step. Then you can go to the our workbench, right? MySQL workbench. Okay. I am into the MySQL workbench now. Any connection you can already we saved our connection and all, right? So root $123 is my password. Username is root. Password is root $123. So I'm launching my SQL connection. Okay. Maybe let me open a new query window. Okay, a new query window which I opened here. Already you guys know, you are familiar about this editor and all, right? So I'm into the my database now. Okay, let's go and create database. First we have to create the database, right? We are going to start with the DDL. Okay, here the command line, right? In the SQL editor, right? Double hyphen if you put, right, then it will not execute anything, right? DDL, we are going to start with the DDL. Okay, so for the DDL, first I'm going to run a query, display the available databases here, right? What is the query will run, guys?
Show
Select database.
database.
Show databases, right? Show databases.
Or we can use this instead of database, we can use the schema name also, right? Show schemas.
Yes, go show. Maybe I'll come to that one. Yeah, show databases, right? I'm selecting and I'm running this, right? Select and like you can able to run this one, right? Execute the selected portion of the script or everything if there is no selection, right? If it is nothing you selected, it will execute everything, or you can select and you can able to run, or you can use control enter for running the query, right? I'm executing this one. It is showing all my databases, right? These many databases we have, okay, in the current server. Okay, yeah, someone is asking about schema, right? Show schemas. Okay, I'm selecting this one, right? You can see here the output. So how many rows it is returning? 16 rows, right? 16 row it is returning when I run the show databases. Then I'm selecting the show schemas. I'm running this. Okay, same 16. It is returning a database name only, right? So anything you can able to use, show databases or schemas, anything you can use, right? So, or some databases, right? Most of the things we are going to learn ANSI standard SQLs only, right? Which is all database will support. But this kind of query, show databases, show tables, schemas and all, right? Some database will not support this queries, right? They are like, these are all some kind of metadata query you can consider. These queries are not a part of your DDL, right? Not part of your DML, right? They all are some kind of metadata query, right? You are querying what are the databases I have, you are checking, right? Like they are, it is not a definition, it is not a manipulation like that you can consider, right? These kind of queries, sometimes some databases will not support directly. So they will, you have to run a query like go to the information schema or like some kind of meta tables, how they are managing, right? You have to query the table and you have to get it, right? But like let's consider Hive or whatever the data warehouses we are going to learn with Databricks, Spark and all, right? They will support all this query, show databases, tables and all, right? But some databases, if you consider, right, they will not support this query, and you have to write a query like something like information schema. Go to the information schema, data. I mean internally they are maintaining this metadata and all. One more table. Internally MySQL is maintaining. Internally the database is maintaining. That table you have to query and you have to get the queries and all. Okay, so here I'm running a show databases or score schema, which will display the available databases. Okay, so the next will be view the available tables in a database. How to check, guys? Maybe learning. Learning is the one which I'm going to check. So how to check? What are the tables I have it in the learning database?
Show tables.
Show tables. If you run the show tables, right? Simply show tables meaning it will look for the current database. Currently, which database you selected, right? In the database, it will run the query and it will return the result.
Use
Okay, I'm running.
database and then we can.
Show tables I'm running. It will throw a error, right? That is a right query only. But currently, no database is selected, right? Select the default database to be used for this query, right? One way you have to select the database by running a use command, use learning, right? I'm showing use learning, right? And like the query, how you have to write, right? Semicolon is the break. This is the single query. The how you are terminating this query, right? Here with the semicolon. Use learning. When I say use learning, right? It is going to the default database. It is selecting as a learning. Now you run the show tables, right? Basically, the current database is learning. The show tables, which is going to execute on the learning database, and it is going to return the tables, available tables from the learning database, right? Tables underscore in underscore learning, right? Which meaning in the learning database, what are all the tables you have, it is returning. Okay, this is one way of returning a table. Regardless of which database I am in currently, I don't want to worry. I want to check the tables, available tables in learning, right? You can say show tables in learning. Learning is the database name here, right? This is also you can able to run. Show tables in learning when you are running, right? Currently, I am in the learning database. Maybe show tables in CC underscore mart, some database, right? Show tables in CC underscore mart, I'm saying. It is returning tables in CC mart, only one table, fact underscore credit card, right? But your current database is learning. You selected the current database as learning. From this current database, I'm going to the different database. I'm checking the tables. How, right? Show tables in this database. If you're not mentioning the database, always it will go to the current database. Some database server default, there is a database called default they will create, and they defaulted to the default database. Even if you're running if you're not running a use also, default will be selected. Some organization, they will restrict the default, they will not allow, which meaning you have to select the database and you have to run your query, right? Like that. And also show databases, right? If you have access, then only the database name and all will be displayed, right? Sometimes like, they put some restriction only whichever database you have access, only those databases alone will be visible, right? That is depend on the organization policy and all. But in general, you want to view the databases, tables and all with the help of show, you can able to see. Okay, here I'm selecting the database, selecting learning as default database. Okay, learning as a default database. And like this will, since we selected the learning as a default database, right? View the available tables in learning. Okay, here I'm specifying which database currently I am in. I don't care, right? I'm going to check the tables, available tables from CCMart database. Okay. Any question, guys? So far, I had to create the database, right? So far, we are running some metadata query only. Okay, now I'm going to create the database. Our actual DDL, we are starting here. Create database or schema. Last week we discussed, so I don't want to write a separate statement for schema. Directly, I'm saying create database or schema. How you are going to do our DDL, first DDL we are going to do. Okay, I'm going to say create syntax, create database, your database name, right? You can say WD37 WE48. That is my DB, right? WD37 WE48 DB. That is the database I'm creating, right? You guys can see here earlier, like you have 16 databases, right? Now I'm going to run this command to create the database. I'm creating a new database now, right? So I'm running this command. You can see the output. Create database WD37 WE48 DB. One row affected, which meaning database got created. Okay, so you can check like with the show databases command again. The newly created database, which will be display here, WD37 WE48 DB, which is the database currently what we have, right? Earlier 16 rows, now 17 rows. Total 17 databases you have. Okay, that is a syntax for creating a database. Okay, and like while creating the database, maybe in production and all, how we'll do, right? So if the database is already exist, right? If I run the same command again, what will happen, guys?
We will get
It
the
will throw an
error.
error.
It will
If
throw
this
a
is
error,
already
right?
available.
The database cannot create the database since the database already exists. That is error, right? So I don't want to fail it here, right? You can see green color tick, right? Tick symbol meaning the query is success. You all know the symbol, right? Which is saying a error. I don't want to throw a error. You have to silently come out, or maybe you give a warning. You don't need to fail it, right? If the database already exists, right? How you have to say, right? Create database. You put a condition, right? You guys are now you already familiar on the conditional statement and all, right? In SQL, how we are going to add a condition? We are going to put a condition here, create database if not exist, right? What I'm saying, create the database if it is not available. If it is available, silently come out, right? Now the same statement I'm writing. Okay, so this time you can see, right, the triangle symbol with the exclamation, which is like nothing but it's a warning. It is not a error. Create database, it is saying one row affected, one warning, cannot create the database. This is fine, but this time it is not a error, right? It is not a severe alert, right? Error meaning it is a severe, right? It is a warning. So you already available database, you are trying to create it. That's all. So since you put a if not exist, I'm silently come out. Here it is a error, right? Like that, if not exist, you can able to use. Right, this is like some kind of the if not exist and all, right? When you are not with the database, with the tables, right? Suppose the table and all you are creating and loading and all, right? The if not exist, whatever you are using, right? That is a best practice. Okay, the problem if you're not using if not exist meaning, right? When you're writing a SQL script, not with a ad hoc single statement and all, right? In a real implementation, we will write as a script only, right? So you can say here, select maybe just for understanding current date. Okay, so this two statement I'm going to execute, right? This both statement I'm going to execute here. Now I'm running the statement. Since both statement I'm selecting, I'm running, or like the entire script I'm going to execute. So this is a script I'm executing, right? You guys can see first statement, show databases, we got the result. Show schema, we got the result. Use learning, okay, that is a normal query. Show tables in the learning, we have the result. Show tables in the CC mart, we have only one table, right? Unlike a create database it's a metadata query, it is failing, right? That is fine, you have a failure here. And current date, I'm expecting the result 11, result 11, one more grid with the current date, right? But the current date is not executing. Since you guys can see the log here, right? The action output or log, whatever it is, you can see, right? After the database failure script, it is not going to the next statement, right? It is terminating here itself, right? When you are writing any production grade scripts and all, because of this, you want to fail, meaning you don't include if not exist, right? But you don't need to fail. Databases already exist, meaning you can use it, right? Don't fail it and continue with the next statement and all, right? So you have to write a if not exist. Now I'm adding this one, same thing, I'm selecting everything, right? I'm executing now. You guys can see, same it is executing, right? Databases, show schema, right? Show tables in CC mart, then show tables in CC mart here. Then it is going to the create database if not exist, which is the warning. Then like a select current date, that is also executing. Since it's I put a if not exist as a warning, right? We reduce the severity, right? So if not exist, you have to use you have to use as a best practice. Not only database, while creating the table also we'll use. Okay. Any question, guys? So far.
Yeah, I have a question. So how do I do the multi-line comment in SQL?
Yeah, that we'll discuss. Okay, the multi-line commands, right? Not like simple slash star and all will not support. I will explain later. Okay, usually we'll write a single line commands only. You want to put a multi-line command, right? Okay, so that is depending on your editor and all. Okay, so I'm going to say select 55. Okay, just for understanding, I'm selecting everything. Okay, final result 55. You will not have the create statement and all, right? For MySQL, you can use slash star multi-line, right? But it will vary with the databases, the multi-line alone. You got it, right? Here slash star is the multi-line command what you have. So from line number 21 to 25, I'm commenting out now. Slash star slash, between this whatever you are writing, it will not execute. Okay, but like it is differ some databases, not as a standard for everywhere, but like some databases following some other syntax and all. We'll discuss later. But hyphen will be common. Most of the databases will support single line command as hyphen. Got it? Okay, so this query and all fine, guys. Let me remove this current date and 55 something and all, right? I removed it. So database we created. Okay, then like what, guys? You have to select your database, right? Or like currently I'm in a learning database only still, right? My current database is learning, but I want to create the table in the WD37 WE48 DB. Okay, let's create the table. Okay, so next will be directly we'll go to the create table statement. Create table. Okay, so this is also a DDL only. I am going to create a table. create table, right? Create table emp, right? Create table, table name I'm giving, table name, employee ID. Okay, these are all the column names. Maybe I will put a structure here, right? Create table emp. In the bracket, you have to give the column names. Okay, column names, employee ID, integer. Okay, so employee ID integer, I'm giving. Leave the data type, guys. We will discuss. Okay, employee name, varchar of maybe 50. Here, right? Maybe since we are creating the type and all, right? Here I will write related to the data type. Okay, we have an integer type, right? Tiny int, small int, byte and all, we have it in SQL. Okay, but I'm not going there. Integer is for your numbers. Okay, for now, for creating a string, right? We have a varchar type, varchar of size you have to give. Okay, what is this size, right? Like how many character which is allowed. Varchar of 10 meaning, suppose varchar of 10 meaning, right? This is a text or string, whatever it is you can say, right? Text up to 10 character you can able to give. Okay, so varchar of 10 meaning, right? You can able to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, right? 10 character, right? Up to 10 character, right? I'm putting a number here. You can consider like a normal text. I'm declaring with a single quotes. Single quotes is used for defining a string in SQL, right? There is no double quotes, triple single quotes and all, nothing here, right? You have to use single quotes, right? So varchar of 10 meaning you are putting a size as 10. Up to 10 character it will allow, right? And like we have one more data type called character. Char also you have to give a size. There is some difference we have. That is also an entry question we have, but we will discuss later. Here also you can able to see, right? Character with the size, character of 2 meaning we are going to give 2 character only allowed, a comma ab, right? Ab, only 2 character allowed. 2 is the size here, right? Character meaning character type. What is the difference, right? Like just one liner I'm saying, we will discuss more, right? Character of 2 meaning the size is fixed. Either you are giving a 1 character or 2 character, but always it is occupying size of 2 character. Varchar meaning which is a variable character, right? A variability in the character. So size is not fixed. 10 you are giving, but you are giving a single character. It will occupy only single character size only internally, right? Character of 5, if you are declaring a column, you are giving a single letter, right? But always it is occupying five character size internally. That is the character. Varchar meaning based on the value only it will take. You are saying you are limiting varchar of 5 meaning up to 5 character only you are allowing, right? You cannot able to give the 6th character. Only 5 character only it will take. Okay. And like if you are giving a single character meaning it will occupy the size of single character only, not 5 character. But character will take all 5 character. That is a difference. For now you can keep it, but we will run the queries and we will experience later, right? This is one entry question. What is the difference between character and varchar and all they will ask. Okay. So for defining like the string and all, right? You can use character, varchar, or something called a text we have. Okay, text you don't need to give size and all. When you have a very big text and all you want to put, right? You can put it in the text. Okay, and then like you have a date type, right? And like a timestamp type. These are all some common types I'm talking about. Okay, date meaning what is the default date format, guys? In MySQL, we discussed last week. What is the default format?
Year, month.
DDMMYY.
Not
Sorry,
DD.
YY.
YYY.
YYM.
MM. DD,
DD.
right? Year, month, date, 10 digits total if you consider, right? How I'm saying it is a 10 digit for year, 2 month, 2 date. Okay, so total 8 character. In between you have 2 hyphen, right? Which is total 10 character we have. That is the date format. Timestamp meaning along with the date, along with your date, This is the timestamp. Okay. You have hour, colon, minutes, second, along with the timestamp also, date plus timestamp. Okay. So we have other data types and all, guys. Leave it. Just a common data type only we are going. Okay. So since like, data types separately we'll discuss. For now, for creating a table, what and all is required, right? Only those things alone I'm including here. So question in the chat. Can you difference if not exist for database? And why we use always for better execute? Yeah, if you're not mentioning if not exist, right? If the database is already exist, it will throw a error. So you are trying to create a database, but it is already exist. Okay, so same statement I will mention here. Okay, create database. I'm running this query. I'm running. You can see here create database, which is error code 1007. It is failing. Why it is failing? Cannot create the database since the databases exist. You are getting right. So if you are not mentioning the if not exist, meaning if the database is not there, that is fine. It will create it will success. But the database is already exist, meaning it will throw error. Okay, but I don't want to throw error, right? I don't know whether the database is already available or not, right? If it is not available, you create and you continue, or else you can just ignore, right? So for that, I'm including the if not exist, right? That is a standard, right? Not with the database usually. Always we'll use with the tables and all, mainly database creation. We are not going to do frequently, right? Once you create the database, then you are going to play with the tables only. Even tables also, sometimes we'll create the tables daily, right? Sometimes we'll use the existing tables, right? But if not exist is a standard when you are creating a table or database, if not exist, right? Which meaning if the table or database already exists, don't throw error, just silently come out. Mohan, we are getting right. If I run the statement, you can see now same statement only, same message it is saying databases already exist for your later verification. I didn't create the database since it is already exist. Like that, like it is saying, right? But at this time it is not failing, it is throwing a warning only. So we are reducing the severity, that's all. Right? You don't want to fail your script. After, like if in SQL, if any query is failing, meaning the next line it will not execute. It will terminate the script and it will come out. Right? I don't want to come out. I want you can continue. Right? Since like database if already exists, just you can continue. Like that, like we put a best practice here, if not exist. Okay, can you please repeat the difference between varchar and char? Alphanumeric is accepted in the character type. Okay. Okay, fine. Both I will answer, right? So varchar and char, where it is here, right? So varchar and char, which is used for holding the like maybe string type you can consider, right? Like a string what we used in our Python str something we defined, right? So that string value you want to hold, right? We have a varchar or char. Which one we'll use, right? Heavily we'll go with varchar only. The difference, main difference, right? How you can define right here varchar of size you have to mention. Varchar of 10 meaning you are allowing 10 character, right? 10 character you are allowing. Okay, so size also you are defining in the upfront. Only I'm allowing 10 character. So if you are allowing a 10 character, right? Let's say e name varchar of 10. This is what I'm defining. Okay, which meaning you are giving a name as Raj. Okay, so Raj meaning how many characters we have? Yes, Raj meaning how many characters we have?
Three.
Three
Only
character, right?
three.
Three character. Okay, so since you are defining as a varchar, it will take only 3 characters as size internally. Okay, same thing. If you do with the character, you can able to enter Raj, no issues. Okay, character of 10 you are giving, right? Raj is fine, you are giving 3 character only, but internally it is occupying the size of 10 character. Size is fixed. 10 meaning 10, always 10. You are giving or not, I am occupying 10. Size is fixed character. Right? You are giving a Raj only, but internally it will put some space and all here. 10 character, always. You're getting right? Character. That is a fixed size. I will execute and show you later, but that is a main difference, right? Like a varchar will take only three digits or three character space size also 3 character only. So a variable character, that is what we are saying. And like Surendra, your question, right, regarding the character will numeric value, yes, it will accept. You can put it in a single quotes, right? So the string and all, how you have to define, right, using single quotes. Okay, so EID, ename, varchar of 50 I'm giving. So now you guys are getting it right. Varchar of 50 meaning employee name up to 50 character I'm giving. Okay, then I'm going to say gender character of 1. Yeah, I forgot the decimal, right? Right. So I didn't mention the decimal type. Decimal itself keyword we have. Okay, decimal, the precision scale and all you can able to give. Okay, we'll discuss decimal also. Decimal type we have as it is. Okay, in MySQL we have a decimal type also. Okay, so in the primitive type I forgot to mention the decimal type also, right? When it comes to the decimal, the precision scale and all you have to mention. And like you have a float data type also, double data type also we have. Okay, so that is why leave the data type things, guys. We will discuss more. Okay, so data type separately we'll discuss. Just a common data type alone I'm mentioning here. Okay, so 1 minute, guys. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, so Boolean also we have data type. Payal is your question, right? Boolean also we have a data type here, which is true or false, same story. Okay, some default, some standard data type only I'm mentioning, but data type we will discuss definitely. Okay, decimal, float, double we have, and like a Boolean data type also we have, right? Maybe I can mention float. We have something called double type. We have something called a Boolean, right? Here we will call as a not Boolean, fully how to give. Okay, like that, like, we have data types and all, but we'll discuss each data type. So for better understanding, employee ID, right? E-name, gender, okay? Then like a date of birth. Date of birth, I'm giving as a date. Okay, now look at the syntax, guys. Create table, that is a keyword. Syntax for creating a table. Okay. Create table, that is a keyword. Table name, bracket, right? Bracket you have to give. Column 1 name, data type, right? Comma, column 2. I will short this with a D type, data type, comma, column 3, D type, etc. I have to give. Then you have to close your bracket, right? This is how you have to create a table, right? This is basic syntax. Maybe, right? If you have some kind of constraints, right? When it comes to the constraints, right? Like constraints, we will discuss later. Primary key, okay? So maybe this will be some key, some not null, right? Or some default value. Okay, you want to give some key concept, a default value and all, you can able to include here, right? Just I put a placeholder here. Okay, but later we will discuss key meaning. I'm going to define whether it is a primary key or foreign key or unique key, some constraint and all I'm giving, right? Or like a default value. If you're not giving default, I want to take something, right? Like that, like, you can able to mention all those things, but minimum column name and data type you have to give. Okay, so here you can see create table employee. I'm not going to the key constraints and all. Later we'll discuss. Create table employee. Employee ID is the column, first column. Order also fine. Order also you have to follow. Employee ID is the first column. Employee name is the second column. Employee ID is the number, integer. Employee name varchar of 50. Now you guys can get an idea. Varchar of 50 meaning the name you should not have more than 50 character, right? More than 50 character meaning whether it is fail or not, it won't fail. It will truncate. Okay, it will truncate more than, it will take only 50 character. You have more than 50 character name, up to 50 character it will save, remaining and all it will ignore, right? That is a behavior. We will see. We'll see. Maybe we'll create a column with some limited character and we will understand this. Okay. So e name up to 50 size is I'm giving varchar of 50. So it is a alphanumeric with a 50 character as a size. Gender character of one fixed size, right? One character, right? You have to give either male or female, F or M you are going to give. So date of birth, date is a date data type I'm giving. Okay. I'm not using any constraints and all here. That is fine. Okay, I'm going to create the table. How, right? Here, one more thing, right? This will create the table in the current database, right? This will create the table in the current database, but I don't want to create in the current database. My current database is learning, right? But I want to create the table in the database called WD37 W48 DB. So how to mention, right? Your DB name dot database name you have to give, right? All are say valid syntax only. Right? Based on your convenient, you have to use database name dot table name, meaning whichever database currently you are in, you don't need to worry. The use database name, whatever you are running, right? That database, you don't need to worry, right? Always you are creating the table in the given database, right? Maybe how to check the current database, right? Check the current database, right? I think select current database is the command, I believe. Let me check current. Let's see database. Let me
Show current database, I think.
Let me check. Select current database. Let me run this query. Okay, so function learning current database not exist. Fine, leave it. I will check. Not with the show current database, right? Here itself throwing error, right? So select current database or something, DB name or current DB name, something I forgot. Okay, it is not required, not that much important. Select current database name or DB name, I don't know. Something we have.
It's DB name. DB name.
Select current DB name, right?
No. Select DB name.
Okay. Select DB name.
I think there should be some underscore between DB and name.
Okay, fine. Leave it, guys. I'll check. Okay.
Okay.
So unknown field, I have to call. Last try. Okay, fine. Leave it. Right. You can able to check, like, current database. We have some query. That is fine. Leave it. Okay, we'll check. Right. For now, I will remove or I will put later. Okay. So currently we know already I'm running a use learning, right? So I'm in the learning database only. Here, right? Use learning, right? Some editor will show which database you are in, right? Somewhere here, right? Like you can able to enable here also. Okay, which database currently you are in, you can able to get it here. Like this guy is highlighting, right? Currently you are in the learning database, like that it is highlighting, but leave it. Okay, but as a best practice, what you have to do, right? Always you have to give the database name here and you can create it, right? If I run the query, create table EMP, meaning this table will be created in the learning database since you are in the current database.
You select database simply.
I mean, for checking the database, right?
Yeah, current database.
That is
Just
fine.
select database.
Yeah, yes, that is the query, right? Select database, meaning it will return the current database. Currently you are in the learning, right? So if you are in the learning, okay, if you are in the learning database, if I run the query, the table will be created in the learning database only, but I don't want to create the table in the learning database. I want to create the database in the database what we created, WD37 W48 DB. Here I want to create. So if you want to create here, either you can use the use command, change your database, or always you give the database name dot table name. Right now, the table is going to create in the database WD37 W48 DB. Whichever the default DB you have, right, it will not consider. Always it will go to this database and create this table, right? You don't need to worry about the current database, right? Like that, like, you have to give the database name dot table name. but this syntax also valid only, right? This simple table name alone, if you are giving, right, that is also valid only. But the definition, if you are giving this way, which database currently you are in, that database it will create, right? And like a similar to database creation, here also you have to follow the best practice. If not exist, right? If the table is not exist, you create it, or else you can just leave it. Okay, so I will put a semicolon here. Then I'm selecting this query. I'm going to create the table, guys. Okay, executing this. So create table if not exists, 0 row affected, but no error, green color tick mark, table got created, right? So you want to check the table is created or not. Show tables in first. In the database name you can give, then you can select and run. Whether the table is created or not, we are checking. EMB got created. Okay, so first thing, guys, table got created and table is displaying here. Any question so far? Any question on this syntax? Data type, leave it, guys. Okay, data type we'll discuss. Okay, but some what are the frequently used types and all I'm mentioning here, right? But the database, data type, some differences with the data type and all we will discuss later. Let's create some table and we will play with the data. Later we'll discuss about the data type and all, right? Any question on this syntax? How to create the table? So why I'm giving a database name here? If I want to give the database, you have to whichever the current database, right? In the database only the table will be created, right? I don't want to check whether which database I am in, right? Or I don't want to change my current database, but always I want to create the database table in the WD37 WE48 DB, that database, right? So I'm giving a database name dot table name, and like if not exists, you all know, right? The table, if it's already exists, I don't want to create it. So then the column and all, employee ID, employee name, gender, date of birth. These are all my columns. I'm creating a table. Okay. Any question here? Now we created the table. The table is listing here. I'm able to see the table. The column and all I want to check whether the given column and all properly created or not, or the table is already available. Someone is created. I want to check the data type, column names, right? Like any constraints this guy is having, right? Basically, I want to view the structure. I want to understand the structure of the table, right? Then you have to write a command, describe. Okay, describe your table name. Describe table name if you're running, right? This will give you the structure of the table. Okay, see here. Field meaning your column names. Column name employee ID. First column is a EID. The type is integer. Null, yes, meaning this guy is allowing null. Null, whether it is allowed or not, whether it is a primary key or any other key, we didn't mention anything, right? So it is allowing null. It is not a key column. Default value null. Since it is allowing null, null meaning what, guys? We discussed in our Python session, right? What is null?
Nothing.
No
Nothing,
value.
right? Nothing. What is the equivalent type? We have it in Python.
None.
None, right? Exactly, none. So null here in Python, it is a none. Here it is a null, right? So this column is allowing null. It is not a key column. Default value is null. Since it is allowing null, default is null, right? Leave the extra, right? Like that, like the entire structure, you can able to see here. Employee name, varchar of 50. All my columns are allowing null since I'm not mentioning anything here. So default is allowing null and default value is null. What is default? What is null and all? If you are not giving the value for the column, whether null, or if you are giving a null as a value to the column, whether I need to allow or not, this will indicate. If employee ID, right, you are creating as a not null column, this will be no. No meaning if you are trying to give null to the employee ID, it will fail. Your query will fail. I will not allow null. I will not accept null in the employee ID column. Like that, it will throw error, right? Currently, we didn't set it up. Okay, so everything null is allowed. And if you are not giving the employee ID, default is a null is the value. If you're not giving meaning, I will put null. Right? Like that, we have a default value also. Sometimes maybe you are taking city. City is the column. Okay. The city column is the optional input from the users. If they are giving a city as city, right, you are taking their city. If you are not giving right, you default to Chennai. Right? While creating the table itself, you can able to mention. So if you give default value as Chennai, meaning if the user is not giving the Chennai, sorry, if the user is not giving the city, then Chennai will be defaulted. Okay, like that, the default column, default value to the column, whether null is allowed or not, right? Whether any key columns you have, right? Everything you can able to get it here. So the key is key, null and all we call as a constraint in simple, right? Whether it is a primary key or unique key or foreign key and all, right? If you consider, you can able to get the things here. But the table we created without any constraints and all. So all the columns are allowing null, default value is null. And this is the structure of the table. How I'm getting the structure of the table? Running a command called describe, right?
Is there any shortcut keys for describe?
That and all you have to set it up.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, from your ID point of view, right?
Yeah.
This editor point of view, you have to set it up. Maybe I'm selecting the table when I put the F1, you want to view the structure, right? Yeah, that and all we have to set up, and it will be vary based on your editors, right? But if this is the standard command where you can able to run anywhere. You are running in CLI, you are connecting from Java or something, right? Everywhere it will work. View the structure. Okay. So, or like you can able to go to the database here, table, right? Customer, right? You can able to table inspector, right? It will give your columns, right? Multiple, same thing only, right? Like it is giving additional information, right? Like that, like, you have options and all. These are all the things are editor based, but whatever I'm running, the query, right? Which you can able to run anywhere. Okay, this way also you can able to view. So to view the structure of the table, you can run describe command. Any question, guys? So here, create table is the DDL, right? So far only one command, one query, right? Create database, create table. Only these two we discussed, right? Before going further on the DDL side, let me put some data, right? Let's insert some data to the table. Okay, then like we'll continue the DDL things, guys. Okay, so to view the structure of the table, you can use the describe command, and like maybe let's do the dequal query, select star from this table. This is the normal query, right? It is a normal dequal query we are running. We already know we don't have any data to the table, so it is returning only the structure: employee ID, employee name, gender, date of birth, 0 record with the 0 record. Okay, so I'm querying the table, viewing the table. This is part of the DQL. Okay, maybe DQL we are going to learn later, but what I'm doing, select star, meaning you display all the columns, right? I'm not selecting the field columns. You display all the columns from the table. All the rows, all the columns you display. That is what the query I'm writing. But currently I don't have any data, so it is returning empty table. Empty table meaning the structure alone, right? That is a DQL query what I'm executing. Let's do some DML part here, which is, what is DML, guys?
Data manipulation, insert, update.
Insert, update, delete, right? Let's focus only on the insert. In the DML, let's do the insert alone. Let's do the insert alone, right here. What is the syntax? Insert into, right? This is a keyword or a reserved thing. Insert into, you have to give. Insert into your table, right? Which table you are going to insert. So insert into your table values. Insert into table values. Then you have to give your values. That's all, guys. Semicolon. Value, employee ID, integer column 1. Or for better viewing, let's start with the 100. Start with the 100. Employee ID 100. Employee name, right? Employee name is varchar of 50. Up to 50 character. Varchar meaning it is a string. Since it's a string, you have to go with the single quotes. There is no double quotes, triple single quotes, triple double quotes and all here. only single quotes, right? Single quote, I'm going to define like a Rajkumar, something I can give, right? Name 100 Rajkumar. Gender, character, but only one character. So capital M, male. Date of birth, which is right, which is like, a numeric value, date, YYY, MMDD format, right? So that is also like a string only. So you have to give in a string format. Okay. So date of birth, you can say 1990. Okay. 0105 DDYY, sorry, YYY hyphen MM DD format. Only one record I'm inserting. That's all, guys. That's all syntax. Done. I'm giving the values. So name, ID name, gender, date of birth. Okay, I'm executing this statement. No error, first of all. One row affected, which meaning one row inserted, one row inserted, right? And like we are getting a green tick mark here. So this record is properly inserted into the table. Let me go and run the query. 100 Rajkumar, male, date of birth 1990 0105. The result we are getting it. We load the data into the table, right? Using the insert statement. This is the syntax for insert. Insert into. I mean, we have different, a lot of other options, other syntaxes and all with the insert into, but I want to give all the columns for all the values. This is the insert statement, right? A general insert statement. Any question, guys? We created a table and we load the data into the table. Syntax wise, that's all, guys, right? Insert into table name values, right? Insert into the table name values I'm giving. Okay, so here I'm giving all values, right? Maybe one more record. This guy is not interested in giving the date of birth. Okay, so 101, right? Say Vijay, right? Male. Fine. But this guy is not ready to give a date of birth. I'm going to run the query. What will happen, guys? We have a 4 columns, right? 5 columns, I think.
It will be null.
4 columns, right? 4 columns we have, but I'm giving only 3 values. What will happen?
The DOB will be null.
Okay.
Error will throw. Error will throw.
Error will throw, right? Error, null, 2 answers so far. I'm executing, right? So it is throwing a error, right? Column count does not match value count at row 1, which meaning I'm having the number of columns mismatches. This is the error real time also will get, right? When you are loading the data to the table and all, you will get this error. What is the error, right? You are, this query, whatever you are running, you are loading all the columns, but you are giving only 3 columns, right? So what you have to do? Guess what we have to do? Insert into the table, right? You have to mention which are all the value you are giving, right? Which are all the value you are giving, that you have to mention here. Okay, so bracket you have to mention here. I'm giving the employee ID column, employee name column. What is the other column, guys? Gender, right? Gender column. Date of birth I'm not giving, right? Like that, like, I'm selecting the column and I'm giving the value. This time, whatever Satyanathan is saying, right? That is what going to happen, right? Date of birth become a null, and this 3 value loaded into this record, right? I'm running this. So this time it is success, 1 row affected. This is fine. Let's go and run the query again and look at the data. Date of birth is having a null value. 101 Vijay, male. Date of birth is null because you are not giving. Because the column declares it is accepting null while creating the table definition. You are saying like the table will accept the null value for the column date of birth. So it is allowed, and you are not setting any default. Default itself you are setting as a null. So null is populated, right? But how I'm skipping the column, right? If you are giving this way, right, you have to give all the columns, right? So you are giving only 3 columns, meaning 3 values, but the table is expecting 4 columns, right? That is the error you are getting earlier, right? Column count does not match, which meaning table have number 4 columns. You are giving 3 values, so I will not accept. Okay, so you have to give the column, which are all column you are giving. So
I have a doubt
question?
here, one doubt actually.
Yeah.
See, if I'm passing in string as null, NULL, okay. For example, I'm
your-
telling like, for values in that last line, DOB, for DOB, I'm passing like NULL in single quotation, okay.
okay.
What is different between default null and that string null? That is,
String null is a string value. That is a null value. Okay, that is not a null.
Okay.
Okay. So your question is
Right, I got it.
single quotes null. That is a value, right?
Okay.
You should not use single quotes null. You have to use null.
Okay.
This is a null. This is nothing. The other one is a null, which has a 4 character. This is nothing, right? For this here, like, if you're asking the question, what will happen, guys, here? Maybe. Surendran question, right? I will extend here.
Because
giving-
again, it will throw an error since the data type is different.
Yeah, let's see, right?
Without
I'm
giving, here it will run, no issue.
Okay, 103, right? 102. 102. You can give some name. Sachin or fine, right? This is fine. Let's run the command. Okay. So here, what will happen? I'm giving a single quotes null,
Yeah.
right? But the data type is date. I'm executing error. Incorrect date value you are giving. What Satyanathan is saying, right? The same, right? Since it's the date of birth is the date column, but you are giving a string value, right? So this is not, it is not throwing error, column mismatch. Number of columns are matching, but this is the data type issue, right? You are giving a date column. Sorry, the column is the date type, but you are giving a string. It is a string. Okay. So what you have to give here, null. I'm not giving a data type. Sorry, date of birth. I want to give a null here, right? This is null. This time null is nothing, right? I'm executing this. Now this row is affected with one record, and run your query and you can see the result, right? Sachin, right? This time null we are giving 4 value. It is not coming from the default, the value I am giving. So I don't want to select the columns. Here I'm giving only 3 columns. I'm selecting the columns, right? This is all the default DMLs, guys. Some DMLs, nitty-gritty things in the DML, right? Yes, you all are getting it, right? So earlier, why it is failing? Because that is a string null. Date of birth is a date column. So string meaning here varchar, right? So that is the varchar value you cannot give, right? Data type mismatch. Here earlier the statement is failing, column mismatch. We discussed 2 errors so far. Column mismatch, data type mismatch. Okay. So I created the table and I'm loading all the data, guys, right? 3 record I'm loading so far, right? These are all the DML stuff, and like with some DDL and all we did so far. Any question? Okay. Do you have a scripts for creating database? Scripts meaning you want to generate the script and all, right? We have, you can do the right click and script and all, right? That you have always. Okay. So if you go to the tables, right? Some table customer, right click. Okay. Send to SQL editor or create table, right? Create table script. If you click it, right, you will have somewhere. Okay, the scripts also you can able to create it from here itself. You want to generate, right? You can able to generate it. Create statement, right? This is what you are asking, right? So where it is created, I didn't see here, right? Here it is created. Okay, create table customer, and like it is created by this your editor, right? Create table and it is creating. Okay, for now leave it. Okay, that's fine, guys. Okay, question from Morgan: how can we insert multiple rows single run? Yes, you can do. Okay, I will show you. No worries, right? Just like maybe I will complete that also. Fine. One more 2 record I'm going to insert. Right, one way of inserting multiple values, right? So this will be your 103, right? 103. So you can say Usha. Okay, one record. Don't give a semicolon. You put a comma here, right? You can use one more bracket, put a semicolon here, right? So now I'm going to insert 2 record in one shot. This is what you are asking, right? So I'm going to give here like a 104. Okay, so you can say something like some name. Okay, same data for this fine. I'm going to insert this 2 record, right? I'm selecting this. I put a comma, then I'm adding multiple this bracket, right? So I'm going to execute this. So it is done. 2 rows affected, 2 records inserted, right? You can go to the table and look at the data. See, Usha and Samir both are inserted. Mohan, you are getting right. That is how you can able to write a multi-insert, multiple rows you can able to insert in one shot, right? The scripts whenever, yes, I will share in the G drive. No worries. Okay, the scripts and all. That is why I'm properly maintaining the commands and all. Okay, okay, guys. So leave the insert for now. Let's go to our DDL again. Okay, we created the table. We loaded some data and all, right? And like you can see here, this is the table. Current finally we have 5 records or 5 records we have. We have some nulls and all since like the table we created, which is accepting null. Okay, later we will discuss about the constraint and all. Fine. Okay, so how to view the table? You can run the describe command. Describe table you can able to give. Okay, so describe table if you are giving, right, it will show you the table script and all.
What do you
Okay.
sorry, what do you
Yeah.
After defining this column name, if you're adding that value, is this executing or not executing? I think it is not executed, right?
Which
After we
one?
define the table column name.
Where you are saying?
EID, employee ID,
Line
employee
number
name,
71.
gender. Yes,
Line
71.
it is
Yes.
done. It is executing. No error.
No error. Okay.
Right? Date of birth, like now, I mean, one more row I will insert it. Okay, so I will add here, right? So maybe I will remove this, right? Only 3 values we are giving. 105. Okay, 105. You can give some name. Okay, right? If I'm executing, you are getting a column mismatch error. You know already, right? So I'm running this one, you are getting column mismatch error, right? Column count does not match. Okay, then like why it is throwing error, right? I have 4 column, but you are giving 3 value. I don't know which column where I need to map. Which column you missed, I don't know. So you have to provide the mapping, right? I'm giving the mapping here. So I'm giving the value for employee ID, employee name, gender, right?
Okay.
Now,
Okay. Left out column name.
Yeah,
That will be assigned as null. Okay.
right? Yes, the missing column you assign to a null. Like that, you are giving a hint. And why it is working again? The table you are creating, the date of birth column is accepting null. So this case is accepting. If you, while creating the table, you are saying like date of birth column, you should not allow null, meaning while creating the table, if you put the constraint, if you are giving a null, it will throw error. Second error, earlier column mismatch. This time, like a date of birth column should not be a null. Like that, error will come, right? That null we didn't set it up, so it will allow null, and the rest of the column, right? Any number of columns, whatever you have, right? Everything will be null or not null. Actually, not only null, right? If you look at the table, if you are not giving the value, default will be applied. Since the date of birth column having a null as a default value, and it is allowing null, so null will be placed here. Got it, right? So the default value will be applied here.
Okay.
Okay, now query success here, line number 57, right? Query completed, 1 row affected. So the record what we inserted, which is, what is the name? Ajit, right? Let's see here, Ajit record, null. Okay, these are all some DML stuff what we have, guys. Okay, fine. We will discuss more about that. Yeah.
Like, what if I'm selecting the line number 71 again? I'm giving enter. Will it add a duplicate line?
Duplicate. Will allow duplicate. Why? I'm saying allowing. Why? When you say you want to restrict duplicate meaning, how you can restrict?
With the
Right?
distinct.
Like, yeah, Naglashmi is saying, right? No key, right? There is no key constraint, nothing. I didn't set any rules, right? Just I'm creating a skeleton alone. Primary key, unique key, it will not allow. You got it, right?
Yeah.
So here it is allowing because the table we created this such a way. The columns are accepting null. Since we created a column, you accept the null, right? So you want to restrict, right? You have to add more feature. That is what the constraint is. When you say constraint meaning what? Like you should not allow duplicate, right? You should not allow null, or you put some default value, not null, don't put null, defaulted to Chennai, something and all, right? These are all the constraints. So the rules, you can say. This column, date of birth column, if someone is not giving the date of birth, you put date of birth is 1990 0101. That is a defaulted to everyone, right? Like that, like you can put. Okay, these are all the rule you have to write. Okay, so here, answer to your question, here it will allow duplicate since we didn't check anything. Okay, and duplicate checking is the big learning we are going to do later. Fine. Okay, so this insert, you guys can leave it, guys, for now. Let's focus, go back to our DDL stuff. Okay, we created the table. Sorry, any question?
Yeah, in the date column, we don't want to allow the null means how can we set it?
Here you have to do. While creating the table itself, right?
Okay.
You don't want to allow null, right? Not
Yes.
null. That's all. If you
Okay.
create the table with the not null, right? This guy will
Oh.
not allow.
Okay.
Okay, maybe
Thanks.
I will create a table also, simple table, one more table. Okay, here let's start with the sum constraint, right? Not everything, right? Keys and all later we'll discuss. So create table database name, okay, dot department, right? Only two column, department ID, which is integer, right? Comma, and like a D name, department name, which is varchar of 5 character, okay? Varchar of 5 I'm giving, okay? And like you should not allow not null, right? I'm saying like, you are a not null, right? You are a not null column. Okay, then like
Okay.
I created table. Just two column, fine, right? Table got created. How to view the table? You can do the describe table name, right? So table name, I don't know, due to some reason, this autocomplete is not coming for newly created table. So I will copy paste the table, right? So I'm running this one. You guys can see now department name, null is no. I will not allow null,
Okay.
right? And default is null, it is saying, but null I will not allow. Like that it is saying. Okay, so I'm going to insert some record. Insert into this guy. Let's start with one good record. Maybe department ID start from 1, and I'm giving CSE. CSE is the department. I'm executing this statement. Okay, any error? Nothing, right? Values I missed. That's why it's showing some red color underline, right? So insert into the table name values. So I'm executing. It is inserted without any issue. You can see here, right? No issues. It will completed. Select star from the table name. I'm running. We got the result CSE, right? One more record I'm going to insert. Okay, this time I'm not going to give the department, or first let me try with the department null. Okay, 2 department name I'm giving as a null, right? That is your question. Null you should not allow, right? Let me run the query now.
Yes.
So I'm running the query, right? Column D name cannot be null. That is a error, right? You should not give a null here. That is a error, right? So one more try we will do. Here we'll skip the null department here, right? Whether it is taking the default value or not. You can say department ID is 2, right? Only one value I'm giving. Okay, field D name does not have a default value, right? I mean, it is showing null. Null is not considering here, right? So it is restricting the null. So you have to say not null default to some department, max department, meaning even if you're not giving also, it will take max. And if you pass null, it will not allow, right? Like that, you can able to put the constraint. That when you say constraint, meaning this is a constraint I'm adding. to the column, this column alone. DID will be null, become null, right? I didn't set it up. Okay, so if you do the describe command, DID null is allowed. Yes, meaning null is allowed. So DID become null, but dname it should will not allow the null here. That is a constraint we are adding.
But what if I'm giving the null inside the single quotes?
That is a department name.
Okay,
That
it
is
will
a
consider
value.
it as a value. Okay.
That is a value. That is a value. Your department name is null. Right? That is a value. There is a null. The department called null is there. That has a normal string. You got it right. So
Yeah.
if you try with the single quotes null meaning, then it is a value. Okay. Okay, guys. Fine. Let's do the some more DDL stuff here. Okay. Then like DML will continue later. Okay. The DDL part, I want to extend. Right? DDL part. Let's extend. I want to create a column. I want to add a column. Right? Adding a column. That is also a DDL only, right? Adding a column to the existing table, to the EMP table, city column I want to add. Okay, so one more thing, guys, before going to the adding a column, that CSC department what we added, right? Let's do here one more insert I will do. Here we created with the varchar of 5, right? Can you give like computer science, right? Department name is computer science. I'm giving varchar of 5, right? The column is like column length is varchar of 5 only size. I'm giving a computer science, right? Let me run the statement. Right? It is saying data too long for column dname. Some database will do the truncation. Some database will fail the query, right? Since you are giving a 5 character here, right? It is throwing an error. Data too long for column dname at row 1. That is a error you are getting here, right? Since like, you have only 5 character. Okay, so I'm going to say department ID, something you can give 3. You can say civil, right? Civil is the 5 character, right? So let's try the 5 character, which is completed without any issue, right? The 5 meaning the size. You are getting it right. Number of characters, right? Allowed characters is only 5. Now you can query the table and see CSC and civil 2 department we have. Okay. Varchar of 5 meaning what you are getting it right. That is what the varchar here. Okay. So adding a column EMP to the city, right? In the EMP table, city column I want to add. Okay. So I'm going to add a column. What query you have to run, guys? Any idea? You have to run
Alter command.
alter, right? Alter, right? If you are inserting a record meaning insert, right? Here the DDL for changing the table, right? We are altering the table, right? So I'm running an alter table. What is the table name, guys? Better I can use database, right? Better so that I can don't want to copy the database name always. Okay, let's do the use command in between. I'm changing my database to this is my default database, right? It is done. Okay, now I can able to simply give EMP, alter table EMP, right? What you want to do? Add or drop or rename syntax. Okay, so alter table name. Okay, alter table name. Alter table is the keyword. Table name is the name what you have to give. Then you have to provide the action here. You want to do the add or drop or rename column rename also you can able to do. You can able to rename a column. You can able to drop a column or you can able to add a column. Okay, then based on that the syntax will vary. Column name and all you have to give here, right? Based on that the syntax will vary. For adding a column, the syntax is alter table, add column name, city, data type you have to give. varchar of your size. Syntax wise, not city, column name, the new column name, right? Which column you want to add, right? That you have to give. So alter table emp, add, I have to say city varchar of 10, right? That is my size, varchar of 10, semicolon, right? So before executing this statement, describe emp, I'm running. How to change the table changes, right? Describe command, right? Describe emp. So we don't have a city column. Okay. I'm running a emp column here. The table got added with a new column, right? Describe emp. Say where it's city varchar of 10, which is added here. Okay, a new column I added. Now you can select the table, select star from, okay, emp, and like a select and run the query. For all the record existing record, emp is null, right? You can put certain default value and all fine, right? But all the city column, since it's a newly added column, everything is a null here, right? Now if you run your existing query, it won't work. Okay, maybe this query, right? Without selecting all the columns, maybe this query you can take, right? This is the earlier, this query is running fine without any issue, right? This query. Okay, I'm trying now. You will get the column mismatch since a new column you added, right? So error, you are getting column count does not match. Earlier this query is running fine, but this time it is throwing error, column count mismatch since like a new column city you added, right? Now you can add a column here. I mean, insert a new record with the city value. Maybe I will copy from here. Okay, so this table 110. Okay, you can give Sadish and like a date of birth will be 95 something, right? And if you run this command, it won't work since like column mismatch error you will get. City, you must give the city value here. City I'm giving as Chennai, right? We have a city column with the 10 character, right? Varchar of 10 only, right? So Chennai is allowed. I'm giving. This is inserted properly. Then you can run your query again and see a new column also added here, right? Column addition. We are adding a column using the alter table add column. Okay, this is also a DDL only, altering the table, which is also a DDL. Okay, then like you can do rename a column. Okay, so for renaming a column, describe department. Okay, describe department I'm going, right? Dname is the column name, right? I'm going to rename to department name. Okay, alter table department. Okay, right? Alter table department. This time the action I'm going to perform rename. Okay, rename I'm giving, right? What you can give, guys? Or like a let's rename the table itself, right? Alter table. Okay, the table itself I'm going to rename, not a column. Okay, alter table. Column also you can able to rename. Better department, right? I'm going to give a full name department. Alter table department, right? Alter table department. Rename to full name I'm going to give department, right? I'm renaming this. Okay, it is done. How to verify this, guys?
Again,
Describe,
describe.
describe table name.
Describe table name, it will fail. You agree or not?
The
No,
department
yeah,
has been
describe the
changed.
new table name.
Correct. New table name. But you can do with a show tables, right? Let's do the show tables. And you will not see the DEPT. You can able to see the department, right? It is got changed. And if you're running this query, it will fail. There is no table called department, DPT. So you have to change your department name with the original name. And like you can run the query. It is returning DID DName. DName also we are going to change. Fine. Right? So any question, guys? This alter also a DDL. Right? Alter also a DDL. Maybe you want to rename the column D name to department name or D underscore name, something, right? You can do same syntax only, nothing. Whatever I wrote earlier, right? Same syntax. Alter. Okay. Alter table. Let me close this. Okay. Alter table. Department, not department. This time you have to give a table as department. DEPT, we don't have a table called department, right? Then like a rename, right? If you are doing it with the column, right, you have to mention column, renaming a column. I'm going to do the renaming of column. Then your old name, new name. That's all, right? Rename to, okay, department name, DPT name. Okay, I'm executing this statement. It is done. Describe department. Column name is DPT name. Right? Renaming a column. I'm renaming the column or renaming a table. All you can able to do. This is all the alter command. With the help of alter, you can able to add a column. You can able to remove a column. You can able to like renaming a table, renaming a column, adding a column, removing a column. All you can able to do with the alter. With the create, you can able to create a table. With the alter, you can able to modify the structure. Right? All are part of DDL. Okay. Maybe we'll put a command here. Alter table department. Right? Here, what we are doing. We are renaming a table. Okay, after rename only this command will work, right? So for describe department, right? Then here we are doing, okay, so not with the hash, we'll put the hyphens, double hyphen, we'll follow the same. Okay, so here renaming a column. Okay, any question, guys? Table drop, remove a table. Let's go with the remove, right? Remove a table, right? What you can use? Drop table. Okay, drop table. Department, right? Drop table department. Okay, drop table department we are using. We are going to remove the table. Okay, when you say remove the table, right? The drop we are executing. Drop is the DDL again, DDL, and like it will remove both table, structure, and data. Right? Everything it will remove. Okay, everything it will remove related to the department name. Right? Sorry, department related to the department. That is a drop statement what we have. Okay, one interview question will be there for remove a table or data and all, right? We have an option called truncate. Okay, one option called truncate. I'm going to say truncate. Okay, so truncate table department. Truncate table department. What truncate will do, guys?
It will drop
Which
the
is
Delete the
table.
data only.
This
Delete
is
all the
DDL,
rows.
right? Truncate is the DDL, and like a remove all data
Data.
alone, right? And like it is keeping the
Structure.
Table structure. Right? We'll discuss the difference later, the next week, next class, along with the DML. Right? The question what they will ask in interview. Right? The question what they will ask in interview. Okay. Delete versus truncate versus drop. Right? Usually delete with truncate they will ask. Sometimes they will include drop also. Right? So far we discussed some differences, right? Truncate, right? Now itself you guys know some of the things, right? Truncate is removing all the data and keeping the structure, and it is a DDL command. Truncate is a DDL command. Delete is what command, guys? It's a DML command, right? For now you can keep that one, right? We have to discuss on the delete. We'll discuss. Okay, so truncate meaning will only remove the data. Okay, so let me truncate the table. Okay, it is saying nothing. Let's go and query the table. Department, right? Right here. Select star from department. Okay, so no data found, 0 record written, all 3 to 5 records, everything we removed. Empty table, it is an empty table now, since truncate is emptying the table. Okay, removing all the record and keeping the table. That is a truncate, right? I'm doing the drop. Drop will remove data as well as the structure, right? We don't have any data in the table, but I'm removing the table also, right? That's all. The table got removed now, right? Now you can say show tables. Earlier you have 2 tables, EMP and department. Now you have only EMP alone. Department is removed. Table itself removed. There is no structure also. It is removing everything, right? That is a drop statement what we are executing. If you run the one more time, drop statement, what will happen, guys? You know the best practices and all now, right? Like I'm running
It
the
will
same
throw an
If
error.
not exist.
It will throw an error with a table.
table, unknown
Unknown
table called
table.
department, right? The table is already removed it. Again, you are trying. I don't know what is department. It is already, it is not there, right? Unknown table, like that it's saying. So how to prevent this?
If exist,
Right?
add
If exist, right? This time you have to use if exist, not, you should not use not, right? If exist, remove the table only if it is available, or else like, silently you come out, right? I can able to run the command now. So only warning, table is already, the table is not there, but the same are not failing, right? Drop table if exist. Now we discussed 2 condition, if not exist and if exist. Where to use if exist, where to use if not exist, you are getting it right. When you are creating the table, if not exist. When you are removing the table, if exist. Okay, some production scripts and all during the deployment without this, like, fail, guys. Okay, so these are all the real-time scenario. If you forget the if exist, right? If you are trying to drop a table, the table is not there, then the production script will fail, right? The DDL, DM and all, not you are going to do daily. Sometimes you will have it in your script, in your actual code itself, or sometimes you'll create the table along with your deployment, right? While doing the deployment, if you are running a script this way, right? The first line itself it will fail, then it will not execute the rest of the code, right? If the deployment is fail, meaning what will happen? Right? They will send an email, whoever is managing the deployment, right? They will send an email, script failed. They will not look at the error also, right? Then you want to fix it, meaning you have to fix it. It will go to the approval process and all, right? Based on your organization, right? So this and all, like preventing a lot of things, right? If exist, if not exist and all, right? And like in your regular code, if you are using it, right, it will be a job failure. If the table is not there, you are trying to create a meaning, it will fail the script. It will fail the job. It's a job failure. You have to fix it. It will not continue the rest of the code. Maybe we may ask, like, if I have the try catch and all, different story, but right. But here the script got failed, meaning the line got failed, meaning it will come out of the script. It will not continue. Okay. So these are all some alter statement what we have, guys, right? Like we discussed, create, alter, drop, all 3. They are all the DDL so far. Okay. Any question?
In what case we use alter table? Because what is the best practice? Like if we have a table with data, should we drop and recreate it or alter the table?
Meaning you want to add a new column, new additional
No,
information you want to add.
alter. No. That there is a command that you've explained, right? Alter table name.
That is for adding a column only. So truncate versus drop, you are asking?
No. Alter table name. Table name itself, you told we can change.
Oh, okay. Table
Department.
name, you want to change something, right? Like a table name usually will not change, but you want to change the table name. Table name itself, right? Alter table,
Yeah. But
right?
if we go for alter option for changing the table name,
Okay.
do we really do that? Because we have the option to drop it and recreate it. What is
But
the
what about
best
your
practice?
data? What about your data? If you drop and recreate it, meaning your data is lost. You are going to lose all your data, right?
Yeah.
So you should not drop and recreate it. You want to rename the table. This is the easy way, right? You can just rename the table. Maybe even if you have a data in some other place, right? I can able to reload. Maybe if you are asking, right? This will create a lot of issue. If you drop and recreate, meaning the existing reference, everything you are removing it. Okay. Since you are
So we
removing, you
usually
need to
do
reload the
this.
data. Right? Yes. You have to
Okay.
reload it. So
Okay.
here the data is reload is not required. Simply just metadata level you are changing. That's all. Not
Okay.
with the data.
Okay. Got it.
And
Okay.
what about the delete? We saw about
Delete.
the truncate and drop.
Yeah, delete meaning it is used for deleting the record, right? Just I will give the hint. Next week we'll discuss. Okay. Delete also used for deleting the data. It will keep the structure. This is mainly DML, right? Not the DDL. It is a DML manipulation. When you say manipulation, meaning you can able to play with the data also, right? What you are going to play with the data, you can apply a var class. Limited record you can able to remove. One record you can able to remove, or some certain condition you can able to remove. That and all not available with your truncate and drop. Truncate meaning all data. That's all. Drop meaning data plus table. Delete you can able to apply your conditions, right? Delete table where employee name is Satya. If you are mentioning, right, only that record alone it will delete. Partial delete is allowed. Conditional delete is allowed, right? It is a DML. Okay, that is a big difference. Okay, why it is DML, right? You are manipulating the data, right? You are applying a condition. That is a DML. That is why delete is the DML. When you say the difference is right, you have to mention this. Truncate is the DDL. Delete is a DML. Truncate meaning you are completely removing the data. For DML, right? Like when you say delete meaning it is a DML. Okay. So here the logs and all you have to see here only the output. What you have, right? Here only you can able to see text output, history output, all other things you can able to see here, right? Like in the bottom. Okay. Here only you can able to see the logs. Okay. But while executing the script, you usually will get it in your logs. Normal standard out and all you will get. We'll see the logs. Related to the logs, I will show you. Right? When you are executing as a script, right? You can able to see it in the CLI, or if you are using some logging and all, right? You can able to, it will go to the logs, the standard out. That is based on how you are triggering the script, right? Based on that, it will vary. Here, the logs and all you can able to see here only, the bottom. The output screen. This is the output. Okay, we'll stop here, guys, and we'll continue. Next week, we'll speed up this, right? So since we started our DDL and all, right? Next week we'll try to cover both, DML and DQL. We are going to spend much time on the DQL side, right? Directly we'll go to the DML, DQL and all next week. We'll speed up this. Okay. Any questions? I will share the script, guys. Okay. So whatever so far we created, right? I will share the script. And one more thing, guys, I want to show you guys. If you take the PPT PowerPoint, right? The last, if you go to the here, right? The last sheet, you have something called the MySQL cheat sheet, right? Which is like we embedded some document and all. Okay, if you double click this one, right, it will open a Word document. There you have the syntaxes also, right? You guys can just practice that. Okay, so if you go to your last slide, right, in the document, we embed the document. Okay, so let me open. Somewhere the link is there. 1 minute, guys. Let me open. Okay, so if you click on the sheet what you have, right, it will open one Word document here, right? Sorry, one PDF document. Okay, so MySQL syntax here you can able to see more details and all, right? Like how to create the table, what is the option to view your databases, tables, all other things. Select and all we have to discuss, but we have this document. Maybe you guys can just practice these queries also, guys. Okay, so in the sheet number 24. Okay, slide number 24, you have option to click the sheet option, right? If you click it, right, it will open as a document. Okay, any question, guys? Since Sunday evening, we'll close the session. We'll meet you guys next week, guys. Okay, thanks all for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah.